Hey everyone, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Charlie, and this is the Mood Booster podcast.
In this podcast, Charlie and I come together to discuss any and everything we go in our lives. We're looking for the highs, the lows, but importantly, just the everyday and reflecting on those everyday moments.
Exactly that. We're not here to preach, just here to connect, reflect, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of lift wherever you are.
Yeah, you can expect stories that spark something, science that makes sense, and really just a conversation between two friends that feels like you're catching up with an old companion after many years and just having a lovely chat.
This episode is on movement. It's a pillar of ours, so there's a lot of reflection that goes on here.
Yeah, it's a great episode. We really go into what movement means to us, our backgrounds with movement, and how maybe I've struggled with movement in the past versus where I've got to today, and how movement looks like for you as well. And yeah, just sort of why it's important to us.
How it connects to us all, how to make it more accessible as well, so how we can all do it and find time for it as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful episode. We really go into a lot of it. Hopefully you guys love it. Let's boost some moods and let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello everyone.
Hello everybody.
Welcome back. 14. Episode 14.
Episode 14.
Bomb.
Bomb.
Episode 14.
If you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, I just did.
A little hand signal there.
Yeah.
He's doing his Scouts
I
signals.
am.
Your
Yeah,
Beaver
yeah.
or Cubs signals, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 14, everyone, welcome. Today's episode is reflecting on movement.
On movement.
Yeah, one of our main pillars, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very exciting, actually. Something I've loved a lot. Haven't always loved, which is I'm excited to talk about today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's going to be a good one. I think what we've both seen, not just between us two, but how integral movement is, or how important it is to everyday life. So just, yeah, speaking more on it, the value it holds, but also why it's not good in some essence as well.
Yeah, so
there's a lot to speak about there. But anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome back. How was your week, Marcus?
my week.
How was your week?
Wow, what a
How
question.
you doing?
That's profound. Let me have a little
Wow.
think poos. Since we last recorded, I have what have I done? Now let me think. On Friday I chilled, which was quite nice. I did a half marathon.
You did not chill.
Sorry, I didn't chill. I mean, I did a half marathon, which is
You did a half.
fitting for this episode. I do a monthly half marathon and have done for 5 years. I'm starting from the top of this episode saying something like that, and it's off-putting for people who are just thinking about getting into exercise. I want to just say I've not always been that way, and I will delve deeper into that later on. However, that was my Friday.
Yeah.
It made me realise that my running has taken a bit of a backseat recently in terms of training because I found it extremely difficult, and I was struggling. However, did do a full day of eating, and it was hot and all of the above. So I'll give
It's been
myself
really warm, hasn't
some
it?
grace there, and a half marathon's hard regardless. So
It is.
yeah. So I did that on Friday. Saturday, had a great day. Went to Wellnagy Festival.
We did, didn't we?
It was just super exciting. We already released an episode on it. If you're listening, you might have already heard it. It was sort of a bonus episode, and we were reflecting on Wellnagy Festival. So I won't go into too much detail for the sake of not repeating myself, but
Of course. Don't repeat yourself.
It was wonderful. It was a lovely day. The sun was out. The vibes were very much out, present, and it was just really nice for us to sort of sit back and reflect, having been 3 to 4 months into this, or 6 months from the beginning, but 3 to 4 months of releasing episodes, and just seeing the connections we'd made, how far we'd come. And it was one of those stock take moments of, wow, this is really cool.
Wasn't it?
Felt like I zoomed out a little bit and just saw myself in that moment, and it was really nice. So yeah, we were invited to Wellnagy Festival and made loads of videos. We were both just absolutely, yeah, we were working really hard and just constantly talking from basically 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Constantly talking. It was basically like being in a job interview all day long, because we had this really cool flag and everyone was coming up to us being like, okay, so tell me about the podcast. So you just over and over and over again, which obviously loved, and the vibes were just incredible, but we were both just really pushing through kind of
that flag
the mental
was our saving grace, wasn't
it was the mental
People
sort of wow. Towards the end, people were like, oh, so tell me about the podcast, and I could just tell neither of us said anything, but we'd be like, oh no, you go. No, you go. Because we were
took it in turns to do our little intro, our elevator pitch. I'd like to think that we've got it pretty much nailed now.
Yeah, it was good practice.
It was fantastic practice, just reeling off quickly about what it's about. Yeah, it was lovely to see how everyone just responded so well to it, didn't they? And one of the funnier things is after speaking with people, a lot of people after, like as we were leaving the conversations, all said the same thing was, "Oh, you guys have boosted my mood." Like, oh yeah, there you go. It's great though to hear it, like how people genuinely walk away like much happier after speaking about it. So
yeah, and we've had some lovely messages since from people
we
we've met
have.
there
We
saying,
have
you know,
indeed.
they've listened and they really enjoyed it and whatnot. So it was really, really lovely. And thank you, Wellmangy, for having us. We're hoping more of that's to come throughout the summer with different companies and different festivals.
Big
So
plans coming, guys.
big plans coming. So that was Saturday, and then on Sunday I went home. It was my mum's birthday. So HBD Sue, I know
Happy
she's
birthday,
listening.
Sue.
We just chilled in the garden. The sun was out yet again. It's quite odd. We've had the sunniest period of time ever in this country, I think, and the sun is just pretty much always out, which is
Guys, I don't know what's happening, but this has
n-
been the hottest year I've ever been in
yeah,
England. I
nice
or
for
actually want to
us
say,
sun babies.
not
Nice
for
for
the
us sun
farmers,
babies, but not for the farmers, nor the animals that rely on the water or the grass. But anyway,
or yeah, the animals.
needless to say, we were chilling in the garden, having a nice time.
Yeah.
Mum's got 2 new chickens, so we're saying hi to
What are their names?
Jennifer Lopez and Princess Leia.
Absolutely sublime names for chickens.
There's a bit of a drama. They're still quite young, so we're a bit worried that one of them's actually a cockerel. Given that it was doing its cockerel noises on one of the morning, like on Monday morning. However, what's the cockerel noise called? It's got a name. I can't remember.
Toodaloo.
Yeah, that's the official farmer speak. Toodaloo. It was toodaloo-looing.
Is that what you were meaning or not?
Yeah.
Toodaloo.
It was toodaloo-looing.
Get up, everyone. Toodaloo.
It was toodaloo-looing. Bye, I'm off. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
But yeah, no, that was a nice day with my
Yeah.
George and Charles, 2 of my brothers, and mum, and the dogs and the cat. God bless Figaro. He's like 13 now. Good old
How is
Figaro.
Figaro making? He's a wise old gentleman.
The cat, he is such like a godfather cat. He just walks around donning the space, but it's
He's got
just
like a
also
little
so.
white moustache as well,
He's
doesn't he?
so cool.
If
He's
you ever
got
want some wise advice, go to Marcus's cat
yeah,
Figaro.
he's got sage advice. Yeah, he's
Sage
got a metal
advice.
leg from when he had a thing when he was younger and didn't have any bone structure anymore. He either was mauled by a dog or got hit by a car. We don't know, but they had to give him a metal leg.
Literally like a veteran.
Yeah, it was that Noel
Wow.
Fitzpatrick guy who's the vet on Channel 4. I can't remember
Super
the
vet.
name. Super vet. It was one of his clinics.
Yeah.
I think Mum had to remortgage the house for it, but yeah. So
Cheers, Figaro.
big up Figaro.
Remortgage the
What a
house.
guy! Oh, he's just looking old and frail now. It's
We also
but
went to, I think I told you, we also went to a super vet as well.
did you?
For Pepper, yeah.
Oh, I do remember that.
I can't remember if I told the story on here as well, but it was a Sunday evening and we hear this noise. Oh, I'm going out to the bins. I hear this noise. It's this like weird meow, and I see these 2 people down the road looking under this car, looking, a bit concerned. So I go back in, get the bin out, come again, and I see they're still under there. They're looking around, and I just instinctively go over. I don't know what pulled me. I go over and look under the car, and it's Pepper. She'd either fallen from a tree or been hit by a car.
Oh, Peps.
Back legs were awful, but yeah, she also went to a super vet as well.
Oh,
Sunday, bank holiday. It was a late night for us driving around, but
connected by Supervet.
connected by super vet.
Crazy, our cats.
Super vet is crazy.
Supervet brothers and sisters. Supervet siblings.
He is good. Is it super vet? Is it a he or is it a
Noel Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he's very much it.
Noel?
I've not asked his gender identity, but I think he's a he.
He is good. Noel Fitzpatrick sounds like a guy.
Are you a man? Yes. So yeah, we had that, and then I won't go deep into it today, but it was also Father's Day on Sunday. Incidentally, the day 9 years ago that my dad passed away. So just had a bit of a reflection of that this week and thinking about what loss means to me, what saying goodbye means to me, what change means, and trying to, as always, ever in my life, embrace it. And obviously, I would choose to have my dad back, but that can't happen. So how I can move forward with that, and how I'm always moving forward with that. And yeah, just thinking about that this week as well. But that was my week, all in all. Nice. What about you?
Thank you for sharing that, by the way, about your Father's Day. Like, I think it's important on a day like Father's Day, any sort of these days, it's important to recognize every other form of what the day can bring. If it's like even if you don't have your dad, it can still be just as important by just thinking about it and reflecting on it as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for sharing it.
thank you.
My week was slightly better than last week. I know I mentioned on here about the passing of my nana. Slightly harder week. I was still fairly low, I think, just from everything happening, but very much getting through the week as well. Thursday we actually did our street interviews. I was wondering before whether to mention this as my mood boost of the week. But for me, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna mention it now. On Thursday I was quite low and I was unbelievably tired. I remember I was just falling asleep at my desk and but during work, and we had our street interviews in the afternoon, evening time. So we went to Carnaby Street, filmed these interviews. I cannot tell you how much it helped, how much it brought me up, how much it rejuvenated my energy. Speaking to these people, initially I was just, oh, I had to drag myself, and you're great at, I think, recognizing that and taking the lead when I was a little bit tired and just saying, okay, I'm going to get these interviews in and then we can begin speaking to these people. But after speaking to them, it's just, yeah, hearing the joy, being part of that, just feeling the energy from these people. Genuinely, I walked away just like a new man. And that was lovely. So that was Thursday, which was great for me. Yeah, Friday, saw some friends again, which was nice. Saturday, Wellnergy Festival, which was just sublime. I think we've said it all on the bonus episode, and you've said it there as well, but being in that echo chamber of well-being, wellness, mental well-being, and just people wanting to better themselves is a lovely place to be. I know often in our regular daytime jobs, or at least for myself, you know, I'm in normality, which is just the real world, and often people aren't always wanting to speak about how they feel, the good, the bad things. They just want to crack on with their days, which is also fine. But being in a day like that, in a festival, or in an area where everyone wants to speak about it and, talk to each other, bring each other up, was a lovely thing. Afterwards, I was super tired, but it's one of those tired's where it was like I don't know the word to use, but it's a refreshing tired. You
Yeah,
feel tired from like a good sense
rewarding.
of, huh? It's a
Rewarding.
rewarding, yeah, exactly that. It's a rewarding sense of fatigue. So that was Saturday. Sunday was good because I saw my family. That was lovely. Just being with them, especially what's happened. It was just nice seeing everyone. And yeah, that brings us to now basically. So yeah, overall, week's been good. Thank you for asking. Still a bit tough, but um, keeping an eye out for the smaller things, knowing that that's what's going to keep me through. I know that a high will come, as is life. We have these highs and lows. It's filled with them, and I know for myself, it's something that I've been becoming more conscious of is when I'm in these lows, becoming aware of it, but also not judging myself for being in the low, not catastrophizing it, and just searching or holding on to or appreciating the lows,
Mm,
whether it's a swim in the evening or a sunny evening or being with family over breakfast. Those sorts of things keep me going.
yeah,
Those are my ikigai. So
they're all lovely little moments,
they
and
are.
that's what's
So
important. The highs always come, but we can't rely on them. And it's those
we
everyday
cannot.
moments that we're here for, and that's what
No.
we're doing here. So,
Yeah, I said it in the previous episode. Happiness is it's a fleeting thing, isn't it?
mm,
Happiness is just as common as sadness. It's the peace is really what
yeah,
I find joy in searching for. Not joy, but I like to search for peace in things, and I think even
contentment.
in the lows, contentment. Yeah, I can find peace in the sadness as well. So I think that's more of what I was searching for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking of swimming, movement,
Haha, good segue.
shall we?
Yes, shall we? Why are we talking about movement,
We
Marcus?
shall.
Why are
Why
we
are we
talking?
talking about movement?
Mm,
Well, for us, movement's extremely important.
yeah,
We both have our own backgrounds with movement, which I know we'll speak about very shortly.
yeah,
Um, but it's a way that we connect with each other,
yeah,
with other people, with humans. I think it's also a way that we connect with ourselves. Well, I know it's the way we connect with ourselves.
yeah,
Whether that's through the discipline and knowing or getting to know your body, or just allowing yourself to recalibrate by resetting your brain and setting off endorphins, or whatever it might be. It's a form of connection, not only with yourself, but with your closest people around you, but
yeah,
then you're also your wider communities. You've got things like park run and all those things. Um, it's important because it's a huge pillar of what we do and what brings us together and what we want to speak about. And we're huge advocates for it. I think, given our different backgrounds, we both have similar but also varying reasons of why we think it's important and why
Yeah.
um, we want to advocate for movement
Yeah.
in whatever form it is. And yeah, we thought we'd just unpack it a bit further today and sort of delve deep into our like I say, our backgrounds, but why those things are, what those things are, and how it's benefited us and potentially not, impeded some of our progress or well-being as well.
Yeah.
And that's it in a nutshell, really. Why do you think we should be talking about it?
I think it's such a core. It's such a fundamental pillar of, I truly believe, our ability to be as humans.
Mm,
Movement. It's, I think, genuinely in our like genetic code to move.
yeah.
It's what we're here to do. From my experience, at least, it's brought so much to my life just through routine, discipline, joy, um, since a young age, and community as of recently as well. Something that I've not found or put emphasis on enough until recently, which has been a lovely discovery for me.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I think it's a pillar. It's something that I try to do daily, not often successfully, but like to or would like to do more. And it's something that I know we were talking about it a little bit of time ago. Whenever I talk about my future, I always think about when I retire, all this sort of stuff.
mm,
I can even see when I get older, I'll still be moving in some sort of way. Um, and so the longevity that goes with it, it's just the more accessible it can become, the
yeah.
more we can talk about it, let people know about what benefits it could come with,
Mm,
the more people might move as well.
yeah.
And I think something that I've found with my lifestyle in London is that a lot of lifestyle now is it promotes a sense of being still or not
Mm,
moving, like with
sedentary.
sedentary, with the office life, with the commute, that sort of thing. The way our cities have been built isn't necessarily around movement, so trying to carve out time is often not easy. So
No.
I think talking about it can just bring it back to the surface,
Hmm.
remind not only people but us about to do it more.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a little bit of that on my thoughts.
I Yeah, I think we are aligned in that for sure.
Completely.
So in terms of movement,
Yes.
do we talk about our backgrounds and where we come and
It's
our
probably prudent too.
history with?
It's probably
Yeah,
prudent too. Were
prudent, your
you
favorite word.
my favorite word, prudent? Were you always did you exercise when you were younger?
No, so let's get into it. I very much, one of my things about movement, one of my big things about movement is accessibility and inclusivity. Um, I don't know whether to end here or start here. Maybe I'll start here, which is why I started the Monday Mood Booster Run Club for, well, one of several reasons. But it all links. One of the other reasons was connection and community, but another thing was accessibility and inclusivity. I am someone who has struggled with movement in the past. When I was younger, I didn't. Yeah, I grew up as a fat kid. Just I was overweight, or I had lots of body fat on my body, as opposed to my foot. Uh,
I suppose on your head.
uh, and yeah, I was just not healthy. I had a poor diet. I just all of the things.
Mm,
I avoided exercise. Yeah, it intimidated me massively. I was intimidated by group sports. Rugby, I remember my PE teacher was like, "You're really good at this." And I just hated it, and I hated the idea of it and everything that went with it in terms of, you know, the lads and all of those things, the
yeah.
physical sort of the risk, and just I was just scared. I was scared and intimidated, and I didn't like it to the point where I was put on a rugby match because my PE teacher was trying to obviously motivate me and make me want to do it or whatever. I
Yeah.
appreciated what he was doing, but I was so scared. I went to the sick room and went home sick because I didn't want to do it.
Really?
Yeah, and he
Wow.
came to see me in the sick room and basically was like, he didn't say it, but he was like, "I know what you're doing," and fair
Oh.
enough. But
There were kids in my year who also did that as well.
yeah,
That's not too rare, I think.
so intimidating.
Yeah.
And yeah, it comes with like it lends over to and blends with other things around sort of my own social self confidence back then, and you know, or lack thereof when I was younger. Because like I say, it's not only the sport itself, but then the camaraderie or the
Mm.
the group stuff that goes with it. But I think speaking to the movement side, yeah, I'm someone who, when I was younger, was surrounded by older brothers who were the next one up from me is 4 years older, so then they are all a bit older. Who were I don't all chalk it up completely to this, but it is something that sticks to me. Is they whenever I felt like I tried to engage in those sports with them, I would always just get immediately frustrated because I wasn't as good, and I felt like I was just rubbish at it.
Yeah.
So then I would just feel bad about myself for it, and then not. And I think then as I grew up through childhood and then into my teenage years, that became a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh, you're bad at sports. You're not as good as your brothers who are naturally good at these things. Therefore, it's just not something you're good at, and you probably won't be good at, and therefore just avoided and stayed clear of, and then became nervous around just all of these things, which to this day I still hold some of those things in my mind. Hence, last week we were talking about the triathlon and how
Yeah.
when you were doing well at the swim, I immediately regressed to I've been training for so long, and here comes this person who hasn't been training and just is immediately better than me. This is fulfilling my childhood insecurities of not being
Wow. Yeah.
very good at things and having to work so much harder. Yeah, it's funny. I have this memory. I don't know how I feel about this memory, and I'm not going to go into it. But I had a PE teacher when well, this is jumping forward a bit, and I will go back. But I had a PE teacher who I saw randomly in a shopping centre once, like a couple of years ago,
Mm.
and obviously now I'm into exercise and things. And she was just like, "It's so funny because at school you just weren't involved in sport and you didn't like sport at all, and now you're just doing all these things." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's funny." And yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it is true in a way.
Mm.
And I think it came from a. I just thought I was rubbish. I didn't think I was good. I didn't think I. Also, there are sports where I do think that we are born with abilities and strengths and areas. You know, some people are amazing artists or whatever.
Genetics, yeah,
Genetics
play a huge thing
predisposes
into.
us to be
Yeah,
good or in just
completely
start off
agree.
from a better place, let's say.
Puberty at school is a
Yeah.
massive
Um
one. People hitting puberty at different ages.
yeah.
I was a
Well,
late bloomer.
you start off at a better place
Yeah.
to begin with. So for example, I someone could pick up a tennis racket and just have that coordination, hand-eye coordination, and know roughly where, or their body's telling them roughly where they need to be able to hitting that ball on the racket to get the ball where they need to on the other side. As an adult, since I've got into exercise, was I was rubbish when I was younger. Tried to not pick it back up again, but have just a few sort of rallies with my brother in the park. And you could just tell he was being so patient because I just could not get a rally going or anything because it's just, and yeah, granted I hadn't done it for years, but still, it was just like it just doesn't come naturally sometimes. Um, Interesting. So that sort of, I feel like, and I don't want to be deterministic about it, but some of that level of I don't naturally do well at this
Yeah.
very much was a barrier to me when I was younger, and I feel like it's something that resonates with a lot of people, and I just very much from the top wanted to be like, this is something that I have very much experienced and still experience, even doing a triathlon with you in
Yeah.
my own head, feeling like I'm rubbish, which is ridiculous.
I wonder if it's because the way maybe there's something to look at is the way the schooling system has sport. I know it's just in the UK, but we aren't introducing things like, yeah, what?
No, carry on. I'll say afterwards. I've just had a memory.
We aren't introducing things like yoga or anything like easier movements to get into or breath work, anything like that. It's straight into rugby, it just being such a intensive sport for kids that for that to often be their first experience of sport at a young age. I can recall kids back in my school year as well, also doing that as well. Just being, handing in a sick note or whatnot, just to not get to it. So in my mind, introducing, more accessible movements to kids at a younger age, I imagine would create a healthier relationship with movement in a later age as well, whether it's yoga or something with breath work as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe. I don't know if that was completely it for my age, but I do think that that would definitely like more of a holistic
Yeah, holistic movement.
um
It's too linear, I think. Like
movement.
cricket, football, rugby, that's it on a rotation.
Yeah.
There's so much more to movement with body weight
Yeah.
stuff, stretching.
Not that I liked this, but I remember we did dance like once the whole time or something.
Yeah,
And if someone maybe is more uh, in like prefers that,
yeah,
then that's funny. That's good for them. But yeah. I remember, like you say, it's more just the rugby, football,
cricket.
tennis,
Yeah,
cricket over and over
on
again,
repeat
and it's
through
just
the
like
seasons.
wow,
Yeah, I
yeah,
this isn't any. This is more of a like a spiritual tangent, but we have gotten a little bit away from our holistic nature as humans. Of like things like Tai Chi or anything like that have been practiced for thousands of years,
yeah,
and we've sort of gotten away from that.
mm,
So as humans, because we're not in this like holistic site where we're practicing these natural movements, maybe it does encourage more of a barrier to movement when it's something which is so internal and
y-
so natural to us humans as well.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Um,
If running was
th-
introduced at a younger age to you, would you have done it then
well,
or not?
no, and this is why I maintain
Yeah.
there was more to it than that because we had athletics, and I remember the 1500
Oh
being
my
like the
word.
world's hardest thing, and all of us, not just
Yeah.
me, to be fair, all of the students. This is why I laughed. I've definitely said this in I think one of our introductory episodes, but because my older brother was my older brother, all the PE teachers loved him. When I started in year
Is this
seven,
Charles?
no, George.
Oh, George.
Uh,
Okay.
George is really good at sports.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he worked in China for Cardiff FC as a football coach.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So because what was I saying? Yeah, because my brother George, being George, the PE teachers loved him, and then they saw me come in year seven. Were like, ah, George's brother, top set PE. Well, it was set one, set two. Then they changed it to performance and activity instead as names. Very quickly, year seven to year eight, they had a reshuffle, and I went down to set two PE.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you having sets in PE? It's
Well,
so
like I say, they changed it
ridiculous.
to performance and activity. However, yeah, all of us in the activity group were just absolutely, you could imagine, activity group perform
Yeah.
set two PE. There were only the two groups, and we just hated that. And yeah, until I started engaging in it, I didn't want to, and it was just
Yeah.
horrible. I then, when I was around, I'm gonna say 15, uh, had a talk from my mum saying, lots of eating going on, not a lot of movement going on, lots of very quick weight gain. What's going
That's
on?
interesting. That was the way to convey it, was just having a talk with you about it, was it?
Well, she was worried that I
Yeah.
was gaining weight very quickly and eating and not. So she's just yeah. I can't remember how it fully went, but it was helpful and it was needed. For me
It was
personally.
needed for you, yeah.
Obviously, there's ways of doing those things, and it's very difficult because you've got to be careful with talking about bodies and all those whatnot. However, it yeah,
Yeah.
very quickly, and also it was in line with for me probably a puberty thing.
Yeah.
Started running, was running around the park, and I then just unlocked something that I didn't know was there.
Wow.
And I think the running was easier for me than going to start to do tennis or rugby or whatever because it was that intimidation wasn't as there so much. I was on my own, and I
Yeah.
didn't have to sort of worry about how I looked or whether I was keeping up or all of those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, very quickly dropped a lot of weight to the point where actually on reflection, some of my friends in in school, this is my too much gene. It's not something to laugh at, but some of my friends in school were like, we were a bit worried about how quickly you lost weight. We were gonna raise something with the tutor.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah,
You
but
lost weight
maybe it was to
quick.
do with my age, puberty. I don't know, but it was like I dropped.
Yeah.
It was mad. I dropped. I don't know in kilos, but like 3-4 stone like a couple of months. So it was
Jeez.
yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
And yeah, so I had that. Then was sort of in the gym at school, and then in sixth form. I really liked in my gap year. I went to like a village gym where there was no one there, so there was a woman that worked there who was a PT because she didn't have any, she wasn't super busy. She was kind of just PTing me for free, which was really cool.
That's lovely.
And then yeah, kind of I've never saw myself because of growing up like that. On reflection, those sorts of things I was someone who was moving and I was fit, but I just never saw myself in the negative self talk and all those things. Only until the last couple of years, I never really saw myself as someone who was good at sports, good at movement, good at exercise.
Yeah.
It was always just something I did, but it was not a strength of mine, even though actually retrospectively now looking, that's just again, it's my schemas, my negative self talk
Yeah.
at play. Because on reflection, when I did Camp America, beep 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 beep, I I
You doing it
was
yourself.
I was just preemptively. I was camp
Yeah.
counselor for in the sports classes,
Yeah.
and even then I was like, this is weird that I'm doing this, but I'm just going to go along with it. It's
Yeah.
because, but why not? I was out running every morning while I was in America, so
Yeah.
why would I not be? But at the time, I just told myself that this they obviously just needed something filling. There's not, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like an active self-deprecating thought, but it was just those beliefs about myself were so deep rooted.
Yeah.
I was just used to it, and I was like, oh yeah, well, it's weird that I'm doing sports. I'm a sports counselor, but I'll go along with it. It'll be fun.
Wow.
Um, to that level. So then, yeah, I really sort of came into my own and figured out that I'm not useless. When I started running post university, and we spoke before about my running journey. I'm not sure, but when my dad passed away, I raised money for his hospice, and it
Yeah.
was my first half marathon race, and it was really difficult, and had shin splints and all the things, and
Wow.
just yeah, raised over £2,000, but it was just a nightmare in terms of the training and
Yeah.
agony doing the actual run, lots of walking. And from there, just never really stopped. It really amplified in COVID. My running, my exercise and form of movement really is running. I
Yeah.
then am doing a bit more of like triathlon stuff, but only really dabbling and dipping my
Yeah.
toes in, not fully. I've only since knowing you really picked back up again. Well, actually, that's not true. I was going to the gym
Yeah.
for like the last 3 years, but very sort of just steadily, not sort of a
Yeah.
gym bro, or it was more just slow and steady
Yeah.
to tick over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's my background with movement. I am someone also that values so much small movements, not even small movement, but every morning for God, 3 4 years, I'd go for a morning walk,
Yeah.
not without fail, but most mornings in the weekdays to start my day, I'd get up whatever time, and head out for a 3K walk. The same walk around the park every
Yeah.
morning. Became really nice. Got to know the neighbours or the people in the park, just because I would feel so much better after just moving my body and getting some fresh
Yeah.
air. And yeah, I know in the future, I think I want to speak specifically in detail about the power of walking.
Mm.
But walking's so important. So when we're talking about movement, it's not just gym bros going weightlifting.
It's not
It's
just
literally not. It's actually
handstands or
not that for
marathons. It's
me.
not that. That's not what we're talking about here.
Is
No.
walking, getting out there and just getting fresh air, and I value that. And often a walk does so much more for me than a run or a cycle or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's my whistle stop background with fitness and exercise.
Mm.
I probably missed some things, but yeah. What about you?
What about me?
Or movement, I should say. Sorry.
Movement. For me, it's my mum and my dad were both, when I was younger, really big on making sure I saw them doing exercise and
Mm,
doing and just moving in general. I recall my mum about 3 or 4 years ago telling me that, saying I would, or maybe even more recent, saying that when you were younger, when you were 3, 4, I made sure to make it a big thing that you knew that I was going out for a run, or that I was doing my yoga, or I was doing my stretching. So I think for me, even starting at 12 or 14, I was always just into it. I think
mm,
even younger than that, the stuff I was watching, the cartoons, like Spider-Man and Tarzan were my favorite cartoons when I was younger.
mm.
There was is a bit of a thing that when I was, I think, I can't remember, like 16. No, I'm just joking. 6. I always wore like a Spider-Man costume every day
Oh,
for like
cool.
months.
Nice.
Like every day on repeat. My mum had like a schedule to wash it at this time, dry it by this time, up in the morning I'd wear it. So I think just from the stuff I consumed, just seeing these people move in that sort of way, loving the athleticism, seeing my parents move as well like that. Movement in general was just something that I was always quite into from a young age as well. At school, I was never I was quite a small kid, always been tiny. So things like rugby, even running as well. Not that you need to be big for that, but just in general sports, it was something I never excelled at. I wasn't the worst, but I sort of floated in the middle.
Mm,
And because I hit puberty quite late, I never really, yeah, I never really got to be the biggest person at all. But it was around 13, 14 was when I think I started to get into a bit more like intentional movement. So I remember I was telling you before, I used to I don't know if anyone can relate to this. Hopefully, someone can. When I was younger, I used to Google, like, this is when I was like 13 or 14. I'd Google on my phone how to get abs overnight, and I'd be in my room doing crunches and all these sorts of V sit ups and stuff, like 9 p.m. before a school night to try and get abs for the morning. I was wearing a school uniform, no one would see them, but I remember when I was younger, just my goal was get abs, get abs, get abs. And that was it for a while. I do think social media, or starting social media, definitely influenced that. The
Mm.
people who I'd follow,
I was gonna say, where did that come from?
yeah, I'd say it was being introduced to social media around 13, 14, seeing these most likely steroided guys promoting these pills and these supplements to such a impressionable age.
Mm.
Especially that was the age where my dad had left as well. So I think that lack of a father figure, me trying to figure out what I wanted to look like, all this sort of thing, not having a sort of North Star, I'd latched onto these, you know, pretty bad influences online at an early age. So
Yeah.
I started doing all these movements as well. I think it did lead actually when I started to get into, because this is when I started the gym,
Mm.
I think around like 16, 17, it actually started to get into a pretty bad eating habit as well of just not eating.
Mm.
I remember my main goal when I was younger was like abs. That was it. It wasn't to get like broad shoulders and massive biceps. Is a lot. It's quite shallow stuff. The
Yeah.
movement that I was doing, it was gym stuff as well. I think it was just from the content that I was consuming, and it led to me just like not eating a lot, and it got to a point where I became quite self-conscious actually about my body in general.
Mm.
Not something that I've hugely spoken about, but even around my closest friends, when it was like a hot day, I think it was around at Sol's house. We were in this, like, he had this pool out in his garden, and I just wouldn't take off my top. I just wouldn't take it off just to, like, because I'd be so self conscious about how I looked, whether I was shredded enough. It's not ridiculous because that experience was valid, of course, but in hindsight, it's a shame that such a young age I was so focused on how my body looked that I
How old
couldn't
were you
even
at that
show.
stage?
Huh?
How old were you at that stage?
I want to say 16,
Okay.
15, 16, around then, I think. But it was just I just wasn't eating.
Mm.
I recall my mum thinking that I had like an illness, and she ordered me a Domino's pizza large on that spot, right there and then. She was just, "You need to eat more," um, and so I think, yeah, it's almost opposite from the experience you had in a way, but I think just from the content I was consuming, and I've always loved movement, but there was a period there where I just, yeah, got a bit obsessive about it, wanting to look a certain way, needing to look a certain way. That's then my actions every day affect that as well,
Mm.
which looking back was a bit scary that at such a young age I was that impressionable, but a lot of people are.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Sorry, carry on.
no, I was to say, like, with a lot of voices online showing you this thing or selling you this course or this supplement nowadays, it's more rife than ever.
Mm.
I've now gotten into an age where, and have been for a number of years, where I can tell what I like and what I don't like, and I can stick by that. But a lot of people, a lot of younger people, don't know,
No.
and unfortunately can be influenced by these louder voices on the internet. So, um,
It's
yeah, it's scary.
something common in the younger people, but actually universal with exercise is the entry. The entry to exercise for a lot of people is aesthetically driven.
It is,
Whether
yeah,
it's I need to lose weight, or I want to look better, or
gain
I want to
muscle,
gain
whatever it is.
muscle, or I
Yeah,
want abs. Very common in young people, but still universally experienced
yeah.
throughout. Classic January. Oh, January couch to 5K. I need to shed my Christmas weight, whatever it is.
Mm.
A lot. The main thing in our society that we attach to exercise still as a collective
In Western society,
is
this is, yeah,
aesthetically driven
yeah,
still, which for me is one of the biggest things that helped me move into the love of exercise and movement. Is there's always a tiny part of exercise that has that still, just from historic and all of those things, but so much that's like a minuscule
yeah,
element of what exercise means to me now, and what it
yeah,
does for me in my life and
completely.
my well-being and my mental health. It allows me to the sustainability of it and the enjoyment of it and the pleasure, and I don't resent it because it's not just a means to an end to achieve a goal that ultimately is fleeting, that ultimately is
Yeah,
superficial, that ultimately really actually doesn't mean much when you come down to the core of what we are as human beings.
yeah,
And something that needs to be worked on, I think, which we are doing.
yeah,
The appearance side is a byproduct, and great, but if that's your main motivation, it's never a good starting place.
No, I do think a lot of it is driven by what we see and what we consume. But I completely agree. As I've moved much further away from it surrounding how I look versus how I feel, how does my body feel when I move? What does it give my mind? It also becomes a lot more sustainable as well.
Mm,
I enjoy it a lot more, so it becomes part of my daily routine. I don't resent going to the gym. I don't see it as a chore. Or something that I need to do to look a certain way, or put my value on how I look as well.
mm,
Um, I think a lot of what we just take in, I think, especially at a young age, will influence this. But yeah, it's what it did give me, I will say, is a strong sense of discipline at a young age. For all the negatives it came with from wanting to look a certain way, it did give me a really good sense of discipline. You know, wanting to get up in the morning, do push-ups or whatever it was at a young age, it gave me a sense of routine and discipline, which I know how true to myself is. A lot of times I still don't want to move, or I don't want to go do a workout, whatever it might be, but I know afterwards I will feel better for it, and I'll
mm,
thank myself for doing it. So I
yeah.
think having that base set of knowledge for wanting to do it because of that is something that I did attain at an early age
Yeah.
and did receive from my parents, just moving in front of me, just, doing exercise.
Mm,
Having that influence at a young age, I think, really just set it in stone that it is something that is fairly all right to do,
yeah,
and is doable, I think.
for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I
Mm,
think, I don't know, I don't want to be preachy, but we're also office 9 to 5 sitting down.
yeah,
We have evolved to move. And I
we
sound
have.
like I'm aware how I sound, especially to someone that might be a
No, but
bit
it's true.
outside of exercise and maybe seeing it from a lens of the last thing I want in this episode is to and I should speak freely and let people think what they want to think,
Yeah.
but just from an accessibility point of view, the last thing I want to do is come across as this guy who's really fit and mobile and all these things,
Mm,
and therefore what I say is tone deaf, because I don't want to put people off and I want exercise and movement to be accessible, and that's really important. So as someone who's speaking from experience, it's my responsibility to make sure that I can do that and I'm not sort of being tone deaf or sounding like, oh well, I run every day therefore it's easy, because I know it's not easy and I don't want to put people off. I want to appreciate how that it is difficult. And
I think you do that through what you spread as well. It's good of you to preface, but I do think you do that just through your inclusive run club being one of the pillars of your sort of movement nowadays. I think that's inherently a very accessible way. You're not setting up this massive pacing run club or this, you know, handstand community where you can join if you can do a 100-minute handstand or whatever it might be. Like it's in itself is inclusive, so I think that's fine. Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
guess
good.
speaking on that, the Monday Mood Booster specifically, I just went to loads of run clubs where they're all great and I love them, but
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we're inclusive. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean also inclusive in what way? Because there's
yeah,
inclusivity can mean lots of different things. But okay, well, let's speak specifically pace inclusive. They would say that, and then they would just run at the pace that they wanted to run at, and these people would just be left behind. These new people who were new to running or weren't as fast or whatever. And I used to grow so frustrated because they didn't even have an ambassador or a staff member allocated for different paces.
yeah,
So it will just rely on the community members like myself or a couple of other people who, yeah, whatever, um, to just look after these people through empathy and just having compassion.
yeah,
um, and it was just really frustrating to see, and it would see it over and over again. And then I just was thinking, I want to bring people together anyway. I want to have people to run with. I want a community where people feel safe and like they're not excluded in that way. Let's just do it and make it happen. So at the run club, we truly go whatever pace we need to for everyone to feel comfortable. That means we take walk breaks and we have an ambassador at the front, an ambassador at the back. They have walkie-talkies, which is funny, but that we've recently got walkie-talkies. Shout out Lucy for getting them. Where the ambassadors can communicate and say, okay, we're just needing a walk break now. So the one at the front knows to start walking, so everyone stays together. And everyone comes to the club, and we say it at the beginning of every week. It feels very repetitive on my side, but I must remember that I'm me saying it, and these people are new or often new.
yeah.
that I say it every week. We are strict, unapologetically non-performance based. We go whatever pace we need to, and in practice, to set your expectations, we will. We don't always, but we will take walk breaks if we need to, and it just allows people to know that that is their safe space. And we, as such, have had people run their first ever 5Ks with us. People come and very much, I see it so many times now, people very much needing the walk breaks at the back, to then being the front runner and being at the front with the front runner, Tina, who, she won't mind me saying, I've said it to her,
Tina's
she's so
fantastic.
proud of herself.
Come on,
She
Tina.
first just came, she hadn't run before, didn't have experience with running, Tina Rassam, and she just was kind of there with a good spirit and just wanted to see what had happened, and we gave her the
Do you remember
safe
that
space.
10K in Battersea Park with Tina?
Yeah,
Everyone screaming her name as she was finishing.
yeah,
Let's go, Tina!
yeah.
It was her first 10K. I think it was her
It
first or
was her
second
first, and
10K.
we kind of really
Christmas Battersea
motivated
Park
her to do it,
10K.
and it's really nice that we're able to do that and get her there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wasn't into running, and we gave her the safe space to be able to feel like she could run with those walk breaks. And now she's one of the front runners, and is
It's
there
great.
every week and is signing up to races and stuff. And it's just lovely to
Yeah.
see. And um, that's the sort of safe space and sort of mentalization that I want to always have and never lose perspective of. A 5K is a huge achievement.
It is.
Going out running a 3K is a huge achievement. Just because I, yes, run a monthly half marathon, that's taken years of training and work
Yeah.
and beating self-deprecation and all of those things to get to
Yeah.
that space. And yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as a just go out and exercise, because we sit in our offices all day and we don't as human beings do enough exercise,
Go to the
because
gym before work.
it's not that
No,
easy.
it's not what we're saying. I mean, movement can be literally as simple as breath work. It's something that I've begun to do a lot more of as I've transitioned from a earlier sort of gym phase to more of just a stretching, mobility, outdoor working out instead, running. It's much more holistic than just
Mm,
because you sit in an office all day, get an hour or 2 hours of gym. It's not that.
yeah.
It's not a do a 10K every week or do a 10K every day or go to these run clubs even. It can be as simple as practice some breath work, move your lungs, do some stretching. Whatever it is, the body loves to move. It
Yeah.
does. I've said it, say it again. I always say it, don't I? Movement is medicine.
Movement.
Say it all the time. Movement is medicine. It really is. It
You
just,
say it every day.
I say it when I wake up, I say it every day. I don't, but yeah, it can be as simple as just moving your lungs, just breath work.
Yeah.
And the more holistic I've seen movement, the more accessible and the more I enjoy it as well. Because the
Mm,
more I look forward to going to a park in the sun and just doing some stretching, and then if there's a bar there, doing a push up or two, whatever it might be. It's not the weekly half or the monthly marathon or whatever it might be. These things are something that we can set as goals in the future,
mm.
but to make it just more accessible is what we're saying is begin to fall in love with moving your body, whether that be through just going for a 2 minute walk or whatever it is.
And I think we've got studies to talk about the benefit and all those things, but actually, importantly, what's coming through to me right now is actually what is maybe more important to think about and reflect on, is actually the motivation behind
Mm.
exercising. Because if you if the reason or the reasoning behind moving your body,
Yeah.
if that is not sustainable, or if
Yeah.
if you're doing it for reasons that aren't sustainable, then you're not going to be able to do it in the first place. I think
Yeah.
for me and you, what my shift has been and why now it's sort of just a daily habit as opposed to something I'm forcing myself to do, is because I see it more to be that sort of, it keeps my brain sane. It keeps me connected with human beings. It allows me to see the outside world and not just a room. It does all of those things for me, and that can be a walk. It doesn't have to be a run or a cycle. It's not me thinking, crap, if I don't exercise today, I'm going to put on weight.
Yeah.
If I don't go to the gym today, I'm going to lose this muscle. That those things, speaking truly on and honestly now, because I have very much been in that space up
Yeah.
until even, the last a year ago, I've been in that space. Now it's not that, and my headspace isn't there. It's really more of a, I want to move today because I know my brain will feel better for it. When I was doing my PhD, my movement reduced significantly, and I really felt the knock-on effect of that and the
Yeah.
adversities from that. I sometimes wouldn't get out until 9 p.m. in the evening, and I would feel so pent up and so agitated from not having been able to just move my body. And it wasn't, yes, it's the movement, but it's also what the movement brings. It's the fresh air, like you say, it's the seeing the world. It's the
Yeah.
just being out of a room, all of those things that came with it.
Something that keeps me in love with running is the trips and the
Are you?
weekends of it. I've fallen out of love with running a little bit recently. I think since the marathon, of just something that I've fallen out of love with a bit. I don't think I've ever caught that running bug that you said it unlocks something for you. For me, I do enjoy a nice run here and there, but I think recently fallen out of love with running.
Mm,
It's just one of those phases. I think it will come back. I hope it will. Maybe it's just discipline. It needs to just be getting into it, and then through there, I'll keep the routine. But whether it's running or whatever sort of form of movement, it's the little thing that you enjoy. Find that, and that's personal. That was what keeps you doing it. So for
mm,
me, the reason I now want to be working outdoors more is because usually, or it can be in the sun, I'm barefoot, maybe on the grass, and that is lovely, and that brings a lot of joy to my life.
mm,
It does,
mm.
genuinely. It does. So I think it's finding those little bits of joy in whatever movement it can be. It's why it's not. It's why it's important to not see it as linear as do a run or do the gym. It's if you've got a walking club, for
Yeah.
instance, if you find a group of people who you like through there, it's finding little things through the movement that
Mm,
keeps us moving and doesn't make us resent it in itself. Because if it's rainy and it's cloudy, going out for a 10K or a 5K or a 3K, whatever it might be, that's going to be hard.
yeah.
So it's finding little things of movement every day is
Yeah.
how it snowballs, is what I've found.
It is, and this is assuming that people want to move still, but actually maybe it would be helpful to speak about, as we do every week, a bit of actually what evidence says in terms of the benefits of what movement actually does for
Yeah,
human beings,
why it's
because
important to move.
we can say, oh, my perspective is it makes me feel better, but also research does
Yeah,
support that, you know,
I think it's an
quality of
interesting
life, mood,
balance.
all of those things are
Yeah.
impacted by movement.
I think it'd be good for us to speak about some research as well. I think it's also important though to recognize movement is far beyond, science. It's something that's so intrinsically within us, I think.
Of course.
It's just good to know that it's not just our perspectives as well,
Yeah.
which really go into it.
Yeah, definitely.
There was speaking of quality of life and mood itself, a comprehensive review found that physical activity consistently enhances mood, quality of life, and helps alleviate psychiatric disorders like depression and anxiety. That
Mm.
was Mahindru and colleagues back in 2023. I think it's really, really interesting
Yeah.
in general.
And within that, yoga was one of the key forms of exercise.
It
It
was,
wasn't even like,
it's not overhead pressing or handstands or shoulders or
yeah,
whatever it
really
is.
hardcore stuff.
It's
It was
not.
still restorative movement,
Yeah.
like yoga, that was one of the strongest forms of exercise that was improving people's quality of life
Yeah.
scores.
Yeah, you don't have to be able to do a flying butterfly handstand, one leg thing. It can just be stretching the body. That
Yeah.
can be as simple as that. And that's the breathwork that I was talking about earlier. The research also showed that physical activity helped with sleep. It improved, as I said, these psychiatric disorders like anxiety and just in general associated with a better quality of life as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
thought it was really interesting. I think, yeah, as we've said, we don't need research to tell us that. We know that, but it's good to know that it's been proven to help alleviate.
For sure.
I think quite an interesting one I want to quickly bring up was we went to a run club recently, and I think I asked you this question: does mental health or physical health come first? And there were arguments for both, and your answer was quite interesting. With it being, I believe you said mental health.
Yes, mental health.
Yeah,
Gosh, you're jogging my memory.
because I know for when I brought up the question, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was the fact that for me, if I'm feeling stressed or if I'm feeling anxious or whatever it is, for me, going out for that run will kickstart my mood, so then I can begin working through it. So in that element,
Yeah.
the physical health would start, but I know in general what you were saying had a much. It really resonated was that in general, mental health is the pillar of everything,
Mm.
and will want you to move.
Well, yeah, I think regardless of your ability to exercise at the core, you can exercise or not exercise, you still need your mental health.
Of course,
And yes, exercise might, improve your mental health,
yeah,
but you can't live life exercising 24/7. Your
no,
mental health must come first,
yeah,
and you must find ways to have a baseline and stabilize your mental health. So yes, you might go to therapy, you might exercise, you might do all these things
yeah,
that aid your mental health, but your mental health is what sort of drives your ability to live and function well.
yeah,
And then as such, your ability to go out and exercise.
Yeah.
Also, physical health isn't something that is available to, well, it is available to everyone in different forms, I guess, depending on, I'm speaking about different abilities or different
Mm.
disabilities. But there's variability there, or variance there.
Yeah.
So that's a physical thing that comes with physical health, but your mental health is so stable that you still have to work on and be able to do, and not rely on the physical side
Yeah.
to be able to maintain an equilibrium internally, or try to maintain some sort of an equilibrium
Yeah.
internally. And also your mental health is then also a motivator, or something that, helps you get out and engage in that physical activity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do see that physical health is important, obviously, and it does positively impact your mental health. But if it's one or the other and what comes first, I would say the mental health takes precedent and is more important,
Yeah.
because it's needed to be able to function
Yeah.
and to go and do those things.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a bit of balance there.
all about
So
balance.
a balance really goes.
All about balance.
We should get a t-shirt with that
Yeah,
on.
I know we're not going to speak loads on loads of different studies,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to follow up with what you were saying, in terms of general quality of life and mood. A giant study, 1.2 million respondents.
Yeah.
Different
Only a few.
surveys. Yeah, different surveys. This was in 2018. Czech Raud and colleagues found that people who exercise had 43% fewer days of poor mental health in a month than non-exercisers. And that, interestingly, team sports, aerobic gym activities showed the greatest benefits. And the reason I wanted to speak about this study is the team sports.
Yeah.
Just before I go on to that, they found, I guess for specificity, that exercise was most helpful when done 3 to 5 times per week for 30 to 60 minutes, which again is common. We know that.
Yeah.
But what if it exceeded those sorts of time frames? It then started to correlate with poorer mental health. So
Wow.
there's kind of a peak there, and then it sort of tails off, and then it starts to negatively
Yeah.
impact your mental health if you're doing it excessively.
Wow.
But what I wanted to come back to was the team sports and the importance there. I'm
Yeah.
actually conducting research at the moment
You are.
in the benefits of running communities for people who live in cities. Very specific, but research does need to be specific, just to look at a very specific phenomenon. But yeah, city living can be very hard,
Yeah.
challenging, lonely, all of the above. And I'm really interested in finding out what about those dynamics leads people to run clubs, and what about the run clubs helps people in those dynamics of city living, and how all of that plays together. Really interesting speaking to people so far about it. And it's just, yeah, it's important because, research does show that the team sports, the community, and why from the beginning of this episode, but why it's important to us, the community of it, and the benefit of not only being connected with yourself but other people, and the camaraderie and sharing that with other people. That doesn't have to be a competitive, we're tackling each other in rugby, because that's something I would hate.
Yeah.
But it can be lifting each other up, having a shared goal. All of those things are all things that come through in team sports, whether it's running or
Yeah.
doing yoga together, whatever it
Finding
is.
a club in a community.
Yeah, shared interest.
Something that I've recently stepped into is making sure that my movement, or trying to prioritize my movement to be with other people. And I think it's actually almost a much bigger barrier to movement with people. It's scary because you fear judgment, you
Definitely.
fear all these things. And I took the step to join the run club, and very much so much has come out of it. But I can assume, and I know that a lot of people don't join these communities out of fear of not being good enough, and out of fear of not keeping up. So it's why it's great that we've got communities like the Monday Mood Booster, which genuinely are all about, we do not care, whatever, whoever you are, just join. That's it. That's the bottom line there. But yeah, as I've begun to surround my movement with more people, it becomes more enjoyable. I look forward to it more. It becomes part of a routine, and it goes quicker as well.
Yeah.
So all those things just make it more enjoyable. You see all these like old communities of people all there just doing their flow movements, and it's
Yeah.
it makes sense, because as humans we are pack beings.
Yep.
We do work well with other people, so why would it not work well for movement?
Yeah.
We're trying to be as maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but we used to hunt in we used to hunt in groups. Like if we're anyway.
Mm.
Groups. We used to hunt in groups.
Yeah.
Not to be as reductionist as that, but if we're trying to go off that, we work well with other people. In teams, everything works better. So why would it not be with movement as
Yeah,
well?
for sure.
An interesting study.
Yeah, well, it's the motivation also. I know we spoke about this in
Yes.
hobbies, but the self-determination theory,
Yeah.
which is human beings strive for three things in life, and we thrive when we are doing well at those three things, which is autonomy, so like agency and independence, and well, not necessarily independence, but the power over to make decisions over what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, competency, so being good at things and being an expert, whether that's in work or in when we were speaking about hobbies, being good at a hobby. But in this context is connection's the third thing.
Yeah.
And as human beings, we are wired to be, like you say, pack animals and to be connected with one another.
Yeah.
And that's why exercise is found, potentially why, from a psychological theoretical perspective,
Yeah.
why exercise is found to be beneficial in group context, because it helps with that connection and it helps us feel connected to other human beings.
Yeah.
But I do preface, and as you mentioned as well, when we can find a place that's safe for us, where we don't feel judged or threatened or that
Yeah.
we're going to be bad, because that's really important that we can feel safe in those spaces, because often we don't, and it's just intimidating. I'm someone like that. I'm like that. I spoke about that in hobbies. Immediately, I tell myself, given my history, I'm like, I'll be bad at it. I'm gonna look rubbish. I'm immediately put off.
Yeah.
And it's finding a balance between how you can challenge that yourself and take responsibility to challenge that and think,
Yeah.
okay, well, everyone starts from a place. People, if they're judging me, that's a reflection of them. If they're thinking badly about me, that's a reflection of them, but they're probably not even looking at me in the first place. And that's kind of some reshaping that can be done, but also being able to find a place that does actually align with you as well, and that those people are kind, conscientious, and share your values,
Yeah.
because there's countless different sports groups that all have different values.
Yeah. So I know you said there earlier the motivation with it as well. So useful. There's been so many times when I do not feel like working out or moving, but because I'm like, oh, I can't let these people down, or I want to see these people instead.
Yeah.
Just having it as a routine
Yeah.
with other people means that you do it and then you feel so
100%.
much better.
Yeah.
There have been so many times, countless times, when I've not wanted to move, but because I've had a group of people who I'll be moving with, it makes it so much more accessible, makes it go by quicker, and I'll feel so much better for it. And I categorically would not have moved if there weren't other people involved.
No.
100%.
Us triathlon training is doing that shared activity.
Completely.
Or I always say run clubs, for me, the byproduct is the exercise.
Yeah.
The main the main reason for going is
The
to catch up with
community.
people and to see people and have a chat with someone.
Yeah.
And by chance I'm exercising at the same time, but it's not why I'm there predominantly. And a lot of people have the same view, and it's, again, that's the shift there. It's not, I'm not going to lose weight or to exercise or to make myself look better or whatever. I'm going to catch up with friends, and incidentally, we're also exercising, which I know that comes from a place of, okay, I'm now fortunate enough from having trained that I don't have to stress about not being able to keep up, and I can hold my breath and all those things. So I do appreciate that. But still, when you find a place where it's not just running, we're speaking about yoga, we're speaking about all of these other movements, where you can find somewhere where people are doing the same thing as you, you're catching up with them, and at the same time then, I'm just going to do some yoga as well.
It's that there's a fantastic calisthenics community over in East London as well, who I've been going to a few times. I've not been there in a while.
Scary.
But that is a slightly higher barrier to entry. You've got these unbelievably jacked dudes doing like handstands on bars. That is a little bit scary, I will admit.
I was so uncomfortable there. I was out of my depth. And this is just, sorry to interrupt, but it's an example in real time of how I was literally like, I can't do this. I'm rubbish. All of these people are absolutely huge. I'm just here, little old me. I can't do a single anything. How the hell am I going to do this? But I literally challenged every bit of discomfort in me to be like, just
great to see.
Bloody go, have a good time.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a good time, at least you can be proud that you tried. And I was telling myself all of those things. No one's looking at you, literally actively. No one's looking at you.
No one is.
If they are looking at you, and they're probably just admiring how you're trying because you're obviously not better than them, or you're starting somewhere. And if the third thing, if they are then actually not admiring you and they are looking at you and judging you, then that's only a reflection of them. All of those things racing through my mind. But just an example of so uncomfortable.
No, it's true. But from what I found, like, even I'm not saying I'm some like good calisthenics person. I've been very uncomfortable as well. I like that sort of community, but seeing these people who are objectively better than me at all these movements, how nice and reciprocating they are to have me there.
Mm.
They just try and teach me these different forms and movements. It's what makes me go back.
Yeah.
And then through that, the byproduct ends up being, movement is happening, but I'm in the sun, having a coffee, chatting with these people and learning.
Mm.
Sure, I'm moving and doing some pull-ups, doing some push-ups as well, but I'm learning and I'm talking with people who are bettering me as well. That's the real reason, and I'm around a community of people who are all wanting that as well. And so it's why movement and community are so linked as well.
Yeah.
So linked.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But not everyone wants to find community, and some people like, and I know a lot of people actually find the movement, their motivation for movement is to get away from the family, the friends. It gives them
Space.
time to clear their brain,
Of course.
and that's also very valid. That's not. Sometimes that is the case for me. Seldom is it the case, but
Yeah.
sometimes it is the case. More often than not, I use the community or the camaraderie as a motivator,
Yeah.
because I much prefer, as we know, doing things with people. However, a lot of people don't, and a lot of people
Yeah.
say, I'm not interested in run clubs, I'm not interested in going to a calisthenics class or to a yoga class, because I want to do this by myself and have this expertise by myself.
My younger brother's the same. Felix, if you're watching this, he's very much one of those people who I will beg him to go on a run with him, and he'll just say, no, just you are not welcome. And what is going on? It's this chair, it's the position of it. He just says, I'm not welcome to do any sort of movement with him. He just refuses it. Which is a shame. I'd like to. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, it's just everyone's got different.
One day is true. We do have the San Sebastian half. He's joining us for that.
He is, isn't he?
That'd be wonderful. I'm not run with him.
Gotta get
ever.
some. You have, I think. Or was that parkrun? Was that Felix, not Jude?
That was Felix.
Sorry, Jude, not Felix.
That was Felix. That was
it
Felix.
Felix?
Yeah, once or twice I have, which has been
Okay.
great. But he's a quiet bean on a run.
Okay.
He doesn't speak.
Stop talking to me. Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
This has just reminded me. This is completely irrelevant. But on Monday at the club, there were two people. Well, one person who was brand new, hadn't really run for ages. She had run before, but not for ages. So I was with her towards the back before I then brought her to the front so we could set the pace together.
Yeah.
And she was like, I can't really breathe, so sorry I'm not speaking. And then I was like there trying to motivate, and in my mind I was like, okay, so I was born on
Give you a life story. Yeah, it's because it's what I'd want to hear. It's what I'd want to hear. So if someone's out of breath, just talk at me.
I know, but I because I often find myself in that situation, because I obviously gravitate towards those people to help them. I need a script to help me, because every time I'm like, yeah, they can't breathe, they can't. I need to stop asking them questions.
Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I need to stop asking them questions. I need something in my back pocket. But it was funny.
I was born on this date and this day. Yeah.
And then the person with us was like, oh, so you're a Cancer? And I was like, yes, I am a Cancer. I don't know anything about it, but let's talk about it.
Sure, tell me what I mean. Who am I? What do I like? That's funny.
It was funny.
Yeah. There's something interesting you mentioned earlier with movement, was the fact that you go on a walk every day.
Yeah.
Every morning, it's the first thing you do.
Yeah. Not so much anymore.
No.
For the interest of transparency, but yes, I used to try to. Yeah.
It's something that I've wanted to do always, but never have. I've never been a person to wake up and instantly move. Maybe, I do try and fit my workout sessions in during the mornings, but I don't ever just wake up and go on a straight walk as well. I do think, as you said, there is benefit though.
100%. I think also, I did a preachy video about this on my own TikTok years ago on my morning walk, talking about this is in the echo chamber of running and run talk, let's call it. Everyone's all about running and being better at running, and I was like, let's just strip it back. Walking, I will die on this hill, is so beneficial, if not so much more beneficial than running in so many ways. But people just see it to not be a weak thing, but to just not be like oh, I'm running, that's really impressive. Walking that has so many benefits for you and does so much for you, but because it's not challenging, or you're
out of breath.
It can be challenging for people, but because it's not stereotypically challenging or challenging for the typical person, it's like it's not an impressive thing that we want to shout about. But walking is so important and so beneficial, and I will die on that hill.
Don't die.
No, well,
don't die.
Hopefully not anytime soon.
Of course not.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
completely agree, and I'm an advocate for walking. And as some people, then it was nice being like, "Oh, I've been walking." They'd like comment on the video, be like, "This is so cool because I've been walking every day for the last however many days. I'm
Mm.
on a walk streak," and I was like, "That's so cool."
Yeah.
And yeah, it just it's a calm time. It whether I sometimes I scroll, sometimes I listen to a podcast, sometimes I just walk and look in the surroundings.
Yeah.
Whichever way, it's a calm time just to be
Present.
out, be moving, and not be inside, sort of, yeah, doing everything at a million
Yeah.
miles an hour. The activity is the walking. It's slower. It's not running. When I'm running, still all these years later, I'm still thinking, let me get to the end of the run. Not because I'm not enjoying it, but you're trying to reach a goal of getting to 10k, getting to 5k, getting to 3k, whatever it is. Whereas walking, it's kind of I'm just present in the activity of just walking.
You don't walk to have walked, do you? You walk to walk.
Yeah.
You don't hike. You don't go on a long hike to have hiked. So you're like rushing through it. You hike to the top of a mountain. You reach the summit, and you're like, all right, let's keep on going. We have to keep on hiking so I can finish hiking. You hike to have, or you hike to hike. And I think that's a much more important thing. We zoom out is
Mm,
doing things for the sake of doing them and doing them well.
yeah.
That's, I think, a pillar, as is in the Ikigai book, which I spoke about in the last episode. A pillar of human happiness is doing something for the sake of it, starting small, but being able to be present in what we're doing. If we can try and let go of what the future task is, or to have completed said thing,
Mm,
and just do the sake of doing it. Like, we're
mm,
not recording this to have recorded 100 episodes. We're recording it because we're enjoying this now.
mm,
We're enjoying this conversation. It's enjoying the thing you're doing allows it to bring
yeah.
you a lot more joy.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Something I hadn't really thought about really until
Mm.
now is actually the
Running,
exercise.
I do find less so.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
run to have
No,
run.
I agree.
I don't often run because I'm not often enjoying it in the moment. I will be completely honest with you guys.
So, that's a good point because sometimes my best runs are the ones where I just go and run. And that's why I love running on holiday because I'm aimlessly running just to explore the place. And that's a great point. I'm running for the
Yeah,
sake of exploring and not to be like, let me hit 10k today, let me hit 3k. Whereas
yeah,
in here, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go around the park, this park that I've seen every however long for 7 years.
yeah,
Was that going to be a 3k? Is it going to be a 7k? Whatever it is a bit more calculated like that. Whereas, yeah, when I'm on holiday, it's like you say, which I've been kind of just putting together now, the pieces. It's more of a
yeah.
for the sake of let me just go and explore and aimlessly do it and see where I get to, and I can stop whenever I want to, and it'll be nice.
I do think it is possibly part of why I've fallen out of love with running, was because for so long it was run on this day because the plan says so, run on that day because the plan says so. What's the pace? What's the distance? What's
Yeah.
the tempo? What's the intervals?
Mm,
And it went straight on to the same just for a half. I do think upon reflection I've sort of lost the want just to go on like an aimless run just for the sake of running, which I do think is probably where where the routine because of the enjoyment comes from
mm,
of running as well. Um, but speaking on the discipline, like as I said about you waking up every morning and walking, I think the time of when we work out as well, as I was saying with my gym workout, hugely dependent and can actually have quite a lot of impact on when you
mm,
choose to work out. There was research quite recent actually in 2025, Erickson et al. Basically found that peak morning activity, basically a term used to describe the time of day when people are most active, was linked to better cardiorespiratory fitness and walking efficiency, which is basically how well the body utilizes energy whilst walking itself. So essentially, consistently exercising at the same time each day was overall associated with better health outcomes. So essentially, yeah, people who followed rhythmic patterns of this rest and this activity throughout the day overall had superior cardiorespiratory fitness and walking efficiency.
mm.
So as you said, waking up every day, going for a
Resonates.
walk, I've found that whilst maybe my strength is better in the evening, for a gym session after work, I always try and do my sessions of my fitness in the morning,
Yeah.
as it just sets it up for better routine. I feel better
Yeah,
as
I
well.
fully agree. That's why I do it in the morning. When I the other day we this day last week Wednesday,
Yeah.
we record on Wednesday mornings before our actual jobs. Because of that, we don't exercise in the morning,
Mm.
and then lunchtime happened and things got caught up in stuff happening. Didn't manage to get out until like 7 p.m. and I literally said to you as we left the house, I was like, I'm so agitated right now.
Yeah.
I've because I hadn't been outside, I hadn't seen the world, I hadn't done anything other than this, which was lovely, obviously in the morning, but then a full day of work without having done any exercise. I just felt really agitated. Whereas I know when I set up the day by just starting on that, you know, setting myself up there, it just feels so much better and so much more sort of like an intentional start.
Yeah.
And that's another thing why the run club is on a Monday. It's the same logic of, if you start something well, you're more likely to succeed throughout that thing. It's like the making the bed theory of, if you make your bed in the morning, it's a small win, but if you start on a small win, you're more likely to pick up on those wins and see those little
Completely
things
agree.
going well.
Yeah.
Run on a Monday evening, you then go into the week having achieved something immediately at the beginning of the week, feeling better about yourself and like you've accomplished something, so you're more motivated to continue that. Again, exercise in the morning, same. I feel better for myself, but also my brain is clear and all of those things going on
Yeah.
in my brain, having just got out and done that in the morning.
Completely. Yeah. Everything you've just said there. Mood, brain clearer, it sets the day up. It's also nice just knowing that when you start what you need to get done for the day, you've already prioritized yourself first.
Yeah.
You've prioritized your fitness and your body. You've put that first and you've gotten something done. It's like a
Mm.
checklist, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It for me categorically means that whenever I start my day doing my work, I just feel better.
Yeah.
It's not always easy, but it's any sort of movement if you can do, or if we can do before whatever it is.
Yeah.
Research shows it helps.
Now, Charlie,
Go for
do
it.
you like snacks?
Do I like snacks? What sort of snacks?
Snacks. Do you know the meme?
Snacks.
Snacks.
Is it the? Hang on, I think I
It's
do.
a little kid.
It's a
going,
little kid.
Snacks.
Snacks.
Yeah. Snacks. Movement snacks are why I
Movement
bring up
snacks.
snacks. I love a snack.
You
So
love a snack.
anytime I can get a snack, the answer is always yes.
What's a movement snack?
A movement snack. A snack? A snack is. Now I've said snack so many times, the
Snack.
word sounds so weird.
Snack.
Is it snack? It is snack.
Snack.
Another form of motivation for me is start very small.
Yeah.
Even with running to this day, I'm like, just go out for a 3K and see how you get on, or
Yeah.
just put your shoes on and start there. Just commit to the most minimal thing, and you'll always, once you're in it, do more.
Yeah.
But literally tell yourself, I'm just doing that, and like lie to yourself in a way, not really, but and then also be fine with, if that is all I do, then that's all I do, and that's also great. But
Yeah.
often once you then get into it, like I say, you feel more energized and all of the things, but starting is the hardest thing. If you think, oh, I've got to go do a 10K today, it's not going to happen. If you're like, let me just go out and have a little walk, I might do a bit of a jog at the same time, see how I get on, you'll probably always do more than you think you would have expected to.
100%.
In line with that, we have movement snacks.
Movement snacks.
Basically is the idea that, well, studies, even from the last 2 years, so Dunton and colleagues in 2020 and Sagar and colleagues in 2022, they found that even brief low intensity movements, like even a 2 to 5 minute walk in their studies, were associated with reduced fatigue, improvements in focus, and lower stress hormones, like things like cortisol and stuff in the blood. So 2 to 5 minute walk multiple times a day
Doesn't need to be something.
feels like we're here talking about start yoga, start going to calisthenics, start doing 5K.
Do 100 handstands.
Those
it's not
small
about
little
that.
movements build up.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're effective for people who feel, again, overwhelmed by a formal exercise.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't have to be this big thing.
I think it's because we label exercise
Well,
quite
yeah.
a lot. We, as humans, say, "Are you doing rugby or yoga?" We put these labels so we can identify these exercises, but realistically, the body doesn't know it. The body just knows movement.
Well, that's
It's the
exactly
brain.
fully. So for me, my shoulders at the moment look the best that they've ever looked, and I'm not
Pretty
saying it
flat.
for an aesthetic reason.
Yeah.
But I have taken away going to the gym. I don't go to the gym at the moment.
Yeah.
What I do is, on a run every now and again, I'll stop at the bars, the community gym bars that are in a lot of parks, and I'll just do a few pull-ups, and I'll do some press-ups, and I'll do, at the moment I'm trying to do handstands out of
Yeah.
nowhere. And I'm not saying I'm going to go and put like a workout on my arms. I'm going to the gym to do, but just in taking that label away, and it's just a byproduct of, oh, I'm going for a walk, and as I'm walking past, I'm just going to do a couple of things. I truly just do a couple of things. Like, I'm not there sweating and doing like not even a 20-minute workout. It's just those small little things that I've taken away. Oh, I need to go to the gym 3 times a week, which I did for years. My shoulders now, just from unintentionally doing that, I can see progress in my body. And I know I'm using an aesthetic thing as a marker here, but it's more just to say that I've taken away that intentional, I'm going to do a formal exercise,
Yeah.
and it's just as I'm walking past, I'm just not really thinking about it and just having a go at it and having fun with it. It's now
Yeah.
I'm seeing literally a physical change.
It's what I think. I mean, it lends itself to so much because as humans, let's say with the London life, we say, oh, because you're a 9 to 5, you need to get a 1 hour workout before in a gym where you need to
Yeah.
go schedule from 9 till 10. As humans, it's even what like physiotherapists say is just when you're at the kitchen counter or when you're at your desk, just do a little bit of a stretching there and here. It's little movements throughout the day which can consistently build up, which actually lead to a greater result.
Yeah.
We say it. I know we did that small 15-minute workout the other day, where we just went and did a quick couple sets of push-ups and pull-ups at the bars, came back, felt really, really good. Wasn't an hour-long workout, wasn't tracking anything. It's the more common, smaller amounts of exercise, which are easier to do because they're more accessible and actually lend us to feel better as well through them.
Yeah. I love a snack.
You love a snack, don't you? I think, yeah, the more we can snack on our movements, the better. You also see it as well with like scaffolders or whoever. They're not going to do like bicep curls or shoulder presses.
Yeah.
Some of the strongest people I've ever met are scaffolders, and it's just because they do these little movements of pulling a pole up there
All
through the
your
day.
scaffolder friends.
All my scaffolder friends, the one I know from a couple of years ago. I do hang out with the scaffs. It's just something, guys. You shouldn't get it.
You got to be there. Do you
You
know what
got
I
to
mean?
be there to get it. Sorry, guys, you weren't there. But
We
no,
just don't get it.
it's more my point is that through little bites of movement or little snacks of movement here and there will actually help you a lot more, or will just, it's a lot easier to do. And it helps. It's just about starting small,
It is.
not about these huge marathons. It's
Yes.
breath work. Start there and see where it
Start
takes
small.
you.
The marathon will look after itself.
It will.
Okay, that's a bad analogy because marathons don't look after themselves.
They
But
can't
anyway,
look after themselves.
they are horrible. Nice. I think that's
Yeah. I think
a
that's it.
nice
I
little
think we've summed up
reflection there.
on movement. Yeah, there's so much to it.
What
We could
movement are
go
we doing
into
today?
walk into the kitchen, make breakfast.
Ha ha ha.
What movement are we doing today? It's nice and sunny outside.
Maybe go to bars.
Could even do to the bars. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's it, guys. Movement. Let us know what you guys like to move, or how you guys like to move as well. Hopefully, you guys are getting some movement in.
getting nice and nimble.
Challenge for everyone: a little bit of homework for 2 minutes. Do some sort of movement after this episode.
Yes.
Maybe you're moving to this episode. Maybe you're walking or running. Just good. Maybe you're not, which is also fine.
If you do, let us know what you've done.
Yes.
We
If it's a
wanna know.
walk, a calf raise, 20 deep breaths, just let us know what the movement is.
Some cat cows.
Some cat cows.
Is it cat cow? The yoga pose?
Oh, cat bends or
No, it's cat cow where your back
invert like
arches
that.
and yeah, I think it's cat cow.
Cat cow.
Anyway,
Do some of those.
regardless,
Well, that was
Charlie.
lovely. Yes.
What's the mood boost for you this week?
Oh, my mood boost for this week. It was so I've mentioned it a few times. My nana, unfortunately, passing away recently has been a tough time on my family. My mum, fortunately, got to go on holiday shortly after. Just she had it booked for months, and everyone wanted her to go because she's been through hell and back with everything that's been going on. So speaking to her, just seeing her when she'd come back, she felt and looked like a new person. She said, just having gone away and just giving her the space to recuperate and relax. That in itself, just seeing that and speaking to her about how she was able to heal slightly from just looking after herself, that boosted my mood. I know not everyone can go on holidays, especially around tough times, but seeing how she was able just to give herself the space and looking after she needed, it boosted my mood a lot.
I'm glad. Good for you, Tracy.
That was my weekly mood boost.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your weekly mood boost?
She doesn't listen. I'm sure she doesn't listen, but it doesn't matter. One of our ambassadors from the Run Club has had a real tough time with her job, pretty much indefinitely, since I've known her anyway. But she's so passionate about what she does and looks off. She works in the field, very broadly speaking, because in the field of mental health and caring for people in government or funded sectors, government funded sectors, and she's just had a real tough time with it. She started a new job.
Wow.
And a bit of a promotion or a rise in
Huge for
responsibility
her,
and stuff.
yeah.
She started a new job this week, so was when I saw her on Monday, she was beaming ear to ear, and it was really nice to see her sort of looking refreshed and excited and enthusiastic for what's to come. So Joe is my mood boost
Well
this
done,
week.
Joe.
Congrats on the new job.
It's been a long time
Congrats.
coming, hasn't
Yes,
it,
it has been a
Joe?
long
Well
time
done.
coming. So yeah, little win for her. Not a little win actually. Sometimes they're little wins are mood boost, but this one's probably a big win for her this week. And so it was nice to
Yep.
see her big smile. She has a very infectious smile anyway, but to see her very truly happy this week was nice.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's lovely.
it was.
Well done, Joe.
Well done, Joe.
Appreciate you.
Tracy, likewise. I'm glad you're finding small ways to look after yourself, and
100%.
yeah, there are
Yeah,
mood boosts.
there are mood boosts. Yeah, it can be movement or it cannot be, but still. Hopefully you guys like this episode.
Yeah,
It's been a good one, hasn't
it
it?
has been a lovely one.
More
Just
reflection
thinking
based,
about,
but it's nice.
yeah, even learning myself today about, or putting the pieces together. I think about even now what movement means to me in today as opposed to what it meant 6 months ago or a year ago. It's really allowed me to even just think about that, and like even you were saying about the byproduct of just aimlessly going as opposed to running or whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's really interesting. I hope, yeah, it's come across as we intended and is motivational in some way, or if not, just a nice reflection as always.
Yeah. Lovely. All right, I'm going to turn off the microphone whilst Marcus does some ASMR.